For the 9th time in 11 years, Singapore has again been crowned as the most expensive city in the world, tying with Zurich, Switzerland.
But as the most expensive city to live, does this also mean it's the most expensive city to travel? Let's find out.
The currency used in Singapore is the Singapore dollar. However, to make the benchmarking against your own currency a lot easier, in this video we're going to be converting and stating all of our expenses in US dollars.
First of all, if you're from one of these countries, you will need to get a visa and there will be a cost associated with that. If you're from all other countries, you can visit visa-free for either 30 or 90 days and there are no costs involved. If you're planning to use taxi apps, Google Maps, messaging, etc., you'll need a SIM card.
We got a 100 gigabyte SIM card on the Singtel network, which is supposed to be the best network in Singapore, for $9, which is actually cheaper than a lot of SIM cards we found elsewhere in Asia.
As with many cities, you can certainly splash out on accommodation if you want to.
A night in the world famous Marina Bay Sands Hotel will set you back upwards of $500 for just one night in the cheapest room, and you'll be looking in the thousands for the fancy options. Or if you want to stay here at the Raffles Hotel, you'll be paying even more.
But you can also pay a lot less for a standard hotel room.
We're staying here at the Deaf Living Hotel in Little India. It's not the absolute cheapest, but it was one of the cheaper private hotel rooms that we could find here in Singapore just before Christmas, and we are paying $68 a night for this place. It's pretty big for a Singapore hotel room. It's got a big desk and a TV, a big wardrobe area with a safe and mini fridge, a shared kitchen and free laundry. But it's a bit cheaper than similar rooms in other hotels in Singapore because there's no reception staff and housekeeping is only once a week, which is fine for us because we really couldn't care less if our beds are made, and we think changing towels every day is extremely wasteful.
If I was travelling solo, I would definitely choose a capsule hotel, which start from around about $20. As a melting pot of cultures, Singapore is renowned for its food scene, including 55 Michelin-starred restaurants, and for a meal in most of these, you'll be paying hundreds of dollars.
We have come to a restaurant called Tien, which is a Chinese restaurant which has a Michelin star. And as far as Michelin-starred restaurants go, this is on the cheaper end of the scale, so we thought it would be a good opportunity to try one while it's not too expensive. A filling dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant with leftovers, 5 dishes and 2 drinks came to just under $80.
But you can also eat at spots such as this.
We've come to Chan,
which used to be the world's cheapest Michelin-star restaurant until it lost its star in 2021.
This plate of soy sauce chicken rice, which is the dish that first earned Chan its Michelin star, costs just $2.50.
And it isn't the only highly rated affordable place to eat well in Singapore. As well as the 55 Michelin-starred eateries, there are another 79 that don't have a star, but they have been awarded a Michelin Bib Gourmand award. And of these, 65 of them are low cost. So we're going to make the most of trying these.
Many of them can be found in these establishments. If you're looking to dine on a budget, hawker centres are your best friend. Hawker centres are kind of like massive street food markets with seating, full of many food and drink stalls from various cuisines. They can be found all over Singapore, and there's 110 of them. We are at the Tekka Centre in Little India, where we've got this roasted chicken rice for $2.50, this tea for $1,
This duck rice for just $3.
these prawn noodles for $4, and this passion fruit juice is just $1. We're now trying out a different hawker centre. This one is the La Paz hawker centre. It's quite close to the Marina Bay Sands. It's a lot more modern, and as such, the prices here are a little bit more expensive. We've got this Michelin Bib Gourmand rated fried kway teow for $5.50. This mango peach ice drink was $2. Food courts, which you can find in almost all malls, are very similar, apart from you can dine in the comfort of air conditioning. Food is a little bit pricier than the hawker centres, but it's still generally low cost. We are at the Jurassic Nest food hall in the Gardens by the Bay, and this food hall is a little bit more expensive than some of the other food halls in some of the malls. However, it is really nice and cool in here, and a very welcome respite from the baking sun outside.
Also, they only seem to have establishments here with some sort of Michelin recommendation.
This roasted duck rice with egg was $9.
This biryani was $6.50.
And this iced Milo drink was $3. Then you've got your chain restaurants, both Singaporean and international, from toast
To McDonald's.
to sushi. These tend to also be housed inside malls. You can expect to dine in one of these for around $5 to $20, depending on what you choose.
For light bites, breakfast and snacks, there are a lot of cafes and food stalls.
This is a curry puff, and it costs about $1.50. This bag of 8 kaya balls was $3. And this rapidly melting soft serve ice cream, 75 cents. Drinks from coffee shops and similar places such as coffee, tea, bubble tea, milkshakes, smoothies, etc. Cost you around about $3 to $5. We've got this one here, which is a coconut Oreo ice drink, and it costs about $4. Our favorite discovery are these freshly squeezed orange juice machines. It is $1.50 for a cup of orange juice, and it is delicious. And I should mention the tap water is drinkable in Singapore, so there's no need to be buying bottled water.
While food in Singapore can be pretty affordable, alcohol is a lot less so due to high duty and taxes.
So in essence, when it comes to food, you can really spend as much or as little as you want. We just got back from having lunch at a hawker centre, and a local joined us at our table, and we got chatting, and he told us that in order to own a car in Singapore, you have to get this certificate, and it costs $100,000 to get this certificate for just 10 years. But while Singapore is undoubtedly the most expensive place to own a car, that's not really a cost you're going to be accruing as a visitor to Singapore.
With that in mind, you might expect other transportation to be expensive, but you might be surprised. We took a taxi from the airport to downtown using the Grab app. It's about 20 kilometres and it's roughly a 30-minute drive. It cost us $17, which is less than I expected.
Public transport is very accessible and affordable in Singapore. The MRT is the rail network here in Singapore, and it covers almost the entire country. A single journey ticket will cost you around about $1, and you can pay either using your bank card if it's contactless, or you can use Google Pay or Apple Pay on your phone.
But just don't bring any durians with you.
An even more budget-friendly way to get around Singapore is by walking. Singapore is surprisingly walkable, as long as you can handle the heat, that is. I won't lie, I'm getting kind of sweaty. But it's very flat, there are good quality sidewalks, there's not too much traffic, and there's plenty of pedestrian crossings.
You can hire a bike for a day from a rental shop for around $30.
But I have got a bike using the bike sharing app Anywheel, and with this app you can either get a 7-day pass, which costs $5.50 and it gives you unlimited 30-minute rides, or you can do a pay-as-you-go thing, which costs about $1.50 per hour. And there are loads of these bikes all over the city.
Not only is cycling a good way to get around, it's also a fun activity. We enjoyed cycling around East Coast Park. Depending on how much time you have to explore Singapore, you could easily fill your time with free activities, such as exploring hawker centres, visiting different neighbourhoods like Chinatown and Little India, and checking out the famous sites.
One of the main things to see in Chinatown is this building here, which is the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. You are not allowed to film inside the temple, so unfortunately we can't show you what the inside looks like, but it was a very intricate, really impressive how much detail there is in there, so it's definitely worth a visit. The building is completely free to enter, however you must have your shoulders and knees covered, but if you're like me and you've come in shorts, it's okay because they do have shawls and sarongs which you can borrow completely for free. One thing that's really cool here in Chinatown is that there are a couple of street art walls like this, which are so realistic that you can almost assimilate yourself into the scene. I think these street arts have got to be some of my favourite street arts that I've ever seen. There's just so much level of detail into them, like they've got the chicken here on the bowl. We've come somewhere a little bit different. This place is called the Monochrome Cafe, and as you can see from the decoration behind me, it has got a 2D theme, so everything is in white with then black lines to make it look like a drawing. We've just come here really for the novelty. The food here is a little bit more expensive than it is in other places, so we just got some of the cheapest things on the menu, which was some ice cream, which cost just over $3. We've come down to Sentosa, which is an island just off the mainland. And the best way we can think of to describe this place, if you're British, is it's like Blackpool if Blackpool was tropical. It's got beaches here, and then there's also a load of activity places. For example, Universal Studios is here. There's some water parks, there's a zoo, there's this luge activity thing. To get here, you can walk across the boardwalk, which takes about half an hour. You can do what we did and take the monorail, which was about $2. Or you can also take a cable car across, but it costs $26. We are now about to watch the Spectra light show, which is a free 15-minute light and water show held right here outside the Marina Bay Sands. Shows are at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. every day, and additionally at 10 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. We've come down to the Gardens by the Bay, a massive green area full of all sorts of tropical vegetation. Huge greenhouses and home to the famous man-made super trees. It's kind of like an oasis in the middle of the concrete jungle.
Every night at 7:45 and 8:45 p.m. you can watch the Garden Rhapsody, which is a music and light show at the Super Tree Grove.
While the gardens themselves are free to enter, there are admission fees for certain elements. You can go up onto the bridge between the super trees and tickets for that cost $10.
The Flower Dome and the Cloud Forest, which are two massive greenhouses located here,
Cost us around about $40 because there is an avatar experience on and you can't get it without the avatar experience. However, normally it will cost you around about $24 for the two domes without the experience. I will confess I have never actually seen Avatar, so a lot of this Avatar stuff is lost on me. The main thing to see here is this massive waterfall, which is the second highest indoor waterfall in the world, and the first highest is actually also in Singapore in the airport. The Marina Bay Sands Sky Park observation deck is $24.
You can also head up for a drink at one of the rooftop bars and enjoy the views from there, but just make sure you have a smart casual attire to be allowed in.
If you'd like to ride this thing, the Singapore Flyer, you'll be looking at around $24 for a ticket. If you're looking to shop, you can probably find something to suit your budget. There are over 100 malls here in Singapore, some of which, like the Marina Bay Sands Mall, house high-end luxury brands.
And even an indoor canal.
While others contain your high street stores, there's also lots of markets where you can buy stuff like non-branded clothing for low prices. We have noticed that some items, such as consumer electronics, are a lot cheaper here than they would be for us back in the UK. And it is worth noting that as a foreigner, if you've shopped at a participating retailer and you've spent at least 100 Singapore dollars, then you could be entitled to a tax refund at the airport. This normally works out at around 5 to 6%, but just make sure that you bring your passport with you when you go to buy if you want to make use of this. In total, across 7 days in Singapore, we have spent $440 each, which is about $63 a day. So while it might be the most expensive city in the world to live in, thanks to its affordable food, public transport and walkability, and a plethora of budget and free activities, Singapore is certainly not the most expensive city in the world to travel. So if it's not Singapore, then which is the most expensive city to visit? Let us know in the comments and we'll see you in the next one.